Okay, friends, let's get to our last star of the day. Now, this gal has been such a great support of myself personally and the show. The minute we launched, she was one of the first people to step up and want to share her story. And I absolutely love that. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our next guest, Kristen. Hey, girl, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Thanks. I'm doing well. I'm super excited to be a part of this. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely welcome. Thank you so much for sharing the show and just always being, and you've always been a cheerleader for me since we've connected online. And I think that's the whole power of social media and doing this. And I'm so glad that you're willing to share your or share your story on our platform. So thank you so much for being on our first guest show and so ready and able to share your story. We're fucking here for it. So before we chat about your body image issues and get into these questions, can you tell us and our little community a little bit more about yourself so we have a bit of an idea of who Kristen is?
Of course. So I'm 32 years old. I'm Alberta born and raised. Like I was born in Valley View, which is just outside of Grand Prairie. It's more a hickey version of Grand Prairie. I've moved a couple places around Grand Prairie basically. I've got an 11-year-old son, three rescue dogs. I've kind of worked in dental most of my kid's life. And I actually am just finishing my schooling to become a laser technician. So tattoo removal, hair removal, skin tightening, kind of all that fun stuff.
That's amazing. I was wondering, I should have asked you what you're going to school for. That is so cool. I was I was very in a spot where I'm like, I'm never going to regret any of my tattoos. And I am not saying I don't right now, but I would like to see some improved. And I definitely was like, I wonder if I just, got that spot laser. So now I guess I know somebody. So anyone in the Grand Prairie area, obviously let's connect you with them down the road when you get that started. That's amazing. Good for you.
Yes, hopefully by summer. Oh, and I am recently engaged. I keep forgetting about it because
Ah,
it's new.
that's so that's so exciting. It is. It's such a thing where it's like, you're so excited and you're talking about other things. And, oh yeah, it's not that you're not important. I'm just like hyper focused on this right now. That's so
Yeah,
congratulations.
thank you.
That's amazing. And you guys have been together I think you said for quite some time too, right?
4 years for
Yeah.
sure.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, it gets to that point. You're like, 4, 5, 6, 18.
Yeah, what year was it
Yeah.
before COVID?
Yeah, what was life before this? We don't know. We don't know. Well, that's really amazing. It sounds like you've got a lot of good things going on in your life, and I know you said for you, you've overcome a lot of things, and you're sitting in a really good place in your life. So that definitely is probably one of the big reasons why you wanted to share. I noticed for myself, like when I'm feeling good, I'm really ready to share things, that were a little bit harder for me because I feel like I'm in such a safe and good place mentally.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I've gotten through a lot of struggles for sure.
Yeah, I love it. It's so winning. And I think that's what all brings us together is all those wins. And we find other people winning and we connect with them and cheer them on and makes us want to win more. So that I guess brings me to my next question, which is like my new catchphrase. Do you have any online influencers that you'd want to share that have helped you through all of your struggles to put you in a better mindset today?
Yes. So one is obviously you.
Thank
I've
you.
loved following you for the past year, however, I don't even know,
I know.
pre-COVID,
What
whatever it was.
who knows when that was? 6 years ago, it feels like.
Yeah. And I like Blog Lottie's is I guess, a well-known one.
Of course.
I'm honestly anyone that can be real and honest about their lives, like not only like post, just the positive stuff and oh my life's perfect, blah blah blah. I like the people that, they share their darkness as well. Like because that's kind of my jam.
Yes.
Everyone has a little darkness in them, and I think it's beautiful.
100%. And I love the balance of it too, right? And when I was thinking about the podcast, I was like, okay, I want to make sure when we're asking these questions and we're talking about these heavy topics that we make sure that we bring the negative and the positive to it. So it's not all this like toxic positivity where everything is perfect because it's not, but being like,
No.
hey, this is shitty. It's going to be shitty. I'm sorry that you're going through that. I'm here for you. I see you. And, let's rock this together. And I think that to me is like you said the same thing, right? Where it's like you want to see that, and for me it's like I'm trying to now portray that online myself, so hopefully I can attract people that do the same. So thank you for sharing those. We'll make sure we tag them. I tag myself. But I'm really glad to know that that's what I'm trying to put out there, and it's being well received. So thank you for letting me know that. That's really amazing. And it's the same thing with you, right? Like you're always posting your new goals, and you're excited, and you're really open with me right off the bat, and I love that. And I think that helps us heal by just being straight and honest, being like, yeah, life is shit. I've got darkness, but I'm happy. Like I'm going to cry while I bake cupcakes and listen to Disney while metal at the same
Yeah,
time, or, like having that full
Marilyn
spectrum.
Manson.
Yeah. That's awesome. Thank you. So now let's get right into the questions now that we know a little bit about you. And that's funny. We have so much in common. I have 3 cats. Most of them are rescues, and I was in dental as well. And I just really love how when you break things down of people and, how much we all have in common. But everyone is different in this question. So my first question to you today would be, what are some ways that you suffer with body image?
What are the ways I don't?
Touche.
So let's see. So I was super, super athletic. Like I was that kid that at 3 years old, my mom put skates on me and put me on the ice and I just went zoom. Didn't fall. My cousin was, biffing it everywhere. Like I was naturally athletic. So sports, that was the thing. Like my mom didn't work, so she could drive me, my brother, and my sister around to all the sports stuff we did. So like I did hockey, I did fastball, like dance, figure skating. At one point in time, I did like all of them at the same time. So I was always naturally in shape. But my brother and sister are built like my mom, which like you were talking in your segment about they're very skinny. Like and I'm not. I'm built like my dad. I'm big boned,
Yeah,
like
fair.
very big boned. You
Fair.
put on boots and I'm like, those don't fit my calves.
Yeah.
It's fine. So like I had a brother that was very skinny, he had pelvic indents by the time he was like 6 years old because he had no fat on his body,
Yep.
who thought it was a good idea to call his sister a beluga whale.
Oh no.
And hey, fatty, what you doing? And like this kind of stuff. I also had my teeth were very crowded.
Yep.
So I actually had an extra baby tooth. I had what I like to call nowadays, now that I'm okay with it.
Yeah,
After
those
I
are
had the
such
braces
great
for five
moments.
years now, I had a snaggle tooth. My front tooth was actually in front of the rest of the teeth.
Yeah, fair.
Which was horrible. And, like I had braces. And it's funny because I remember, I think it was you that was talking about that. When I got my braces and I got to the point where all my teeth had braces on them and they're like, you can pick your color. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to pick like pink or neon. And when it came to the point, I was like, I just want gray
Yeah,
because I
same.
don't want to bring more attention to my face.
Yeah, it's like,
Uh,
why?
yeah,
No.
I've acne, like,
Yeah,
that whole lie that your parents tell you, oh, when you become an adult, it'll go away. Lies.
it's a lie. It's a straight
Lies.
lie. It's a lie. And I wish we would have known that then. Like, I wish they would have been, okay, rephrase. I wish they would have been equipped to equip us to being like, hey, this is how acne actually works. It's what you're eating. It's how you're taking care of your face. It's all of these things,
Yeah.
instead of it's just going to go away when you grow up.
And you know what? It's funny too, because like now that I have a kid that's 11,
Yep.
and like thinking about when I was 11, and I'm like, man, my parents were just faking it. They didn't know what the fuck they were doing. Like,
Exactly.
holy shit. And, like I have give my parents a lot more credit than I did back then now because I'm like, you guys, you just were swimming and doing whatever the fuck you could to try and figure your shit out. It's all lies,
100%.
but it's fine.
100%. And that's why, that's why I share with my story. It's hard to be, kind of mad because no one knows, and everything is
Yep.
always new, and we're always upcoming into new generational things that the past has never dealt with. And that, sometimes people just have to try their best. And, that's where it's like, okay, we know this now, so let's better equip the next generation with this knowledge. So maybe they don't have to suffer as much, or at least if they don't take our advice, well, we fucking told you. I told you when you
Yeah.
were 15 years old to stop eating McDonald's every day at lunch instead of eating the, bag lunch I make you, and it's going to give you acne, like it was more like, oh, well, it's your teenager, it's hormones. Yes, but food, hormone, stuff like that.
Oh, I was gonna say, yeah, another thing for me, I guess, is I had a kid when I was 21.
Yep. Fair.
I was that kid that when I hit puberty, it was like, shabam, you got boobs.
What was that
And I
like?
was, you know what? It it was weird because I was a tomboy. Like I wore girls' jeans, but guys' shirts.
Fair.
And like I don't know if you remember, like we're close to the same age. So like the Rusty brand,
Yes.
um, Yes, I wore those were the shirts I were that. And no one really realized that my chest was as like I had double D's in high school.
Oh,
And they were like, I would go to like the river and stuff, and there'd be, creepy old men, like not realize I looked older than I was when
yep.
I was younger. Now I get ID'd everywhere. But I had, and then don't hate me for this, but I had like perfect boobs. Like they
No,
were they looked fake. Like people thought they were fake.
it's a good
So it was
envy.
like,
It's a good envy.
yeah. And then I cue having a kid and breastfeeding for 18 months. And they're not bad. They're just they're half life, I'm gonna
That's
say. They're
that's
just
great. See there, look at that. I love how people can have positive. See, and
yeah.
that's I have, yes, I have massive boob envy, but it's not a bad one. It's because I've
You know,
accepted it now, so it's okay. But when I was younger, I would just glare at all of you.
the funniest thing is growing up, I still wanted them bigger. I still planned on getting, yeah, because I'm pear-shaped, right? So my
Fair.
hips have always been bigger. So I was like, well, how do I even this out? How do I get this pear-shaped like my cousin has?
Yeah.
And it got to the point after I stopped breastfeeding, I had, lost my boobs, and I was like, oh my God, I got like B cups or C, I think it was a C cup actually. And I was like, holy shit, I can button a shirt up and not look like a freaking whore. I'm like, I love this.
Oh,
And then
that's so good.
I had a little drug addiction issues, and then I gained weight and I hit my all-time high of 220 pounds, and I've lost like 30-ish pound, 30, 40. I don't even know anymore. So there's like between childbirth and enormous weight gain, um, things aren't the same. Like after a kid, you start noticing that your back fat, like the skin on your back isn't as tight. So like the back roll is very prominent.
I see. Oh, I never thought about that.
Yeah. So, I noticed myself adjusting how my bra sits.
Fair, fair. And when you have like
I did.
my mom has like triple Z. Don't ask where I got screwed on this, but so there, this is probably where my boob envy started, is because she's, sorry, mom, you've got huge melon. We know this. She's even had a breast reduction. They're still fucking huge. But yeah, it's always in her back that she's had so much years of back issues just pulling. And
Mhm.
like you said, if that tightens up and then you've got that bra strap pulling everything, that really hurts that's really going to hurt your back and then your chest too, right? So that's a see. There's problems with having big boobs too. I'm
Right.
telling
Oh,
this to
there is.
myself.
And
I'm telling this to myself.
yes, the biggest thing is being able to button or zip up a shirt.
Yes,
Is that was oh, I
without the
miss that.
cannons popping out. That's totally fair,
Just reminiscing with my small boob days.
right? We
Um,
always want what we can't have. It's such an issue. So that's totally fair. And you know what? I think all of us go through times where different things are problems in our body image at different times. Like when you're younger, you're just like, oh, I wasn't sure about this, and now it's like you're like, oh, you look back and you're like, damn it, I wish my boobs looked like that now. And so I for me tried to like be like, okay, no, but appreciate where you are right now, because maybe one day you'll look back at that, or you're going to look back at what that one day and love that part about you, right? So it's like loving yourself at every step, you know when you,
well,
let's say,
yeah.
lost the boobs, you're feeding your son, you're providing, right? So it's like trying to
Yeah.
flip your mindset to being like, that was a little bit, let's hypothetically say, for lack of a better word, sacrifice that you made to provide something better for someone else, where you gave up that vanity care about that and provided something for your son, right? And it's like society makes it so hard to just like, it's like, oh, it's supposed to be both. And it's like, well, no,
Yeah.
like it's beautiful that way too.
Yeah. Well, and I think the hard part for me for that is because, like, I'm that person that a lot of people that have had kids hate.
Fair, fair.
I within a week of having my kid, you could not tell
Hmm.
that I had a kid.
Totally. I've seen lots,
Uh,
well, I've seen people like that for sure. And you're like,
yeah,
what happened? Where
yeah,
did you just have to poop?
yeah. That's their like all my friends are like, "Are you're a bitch?" And I'm like, "I'm sorry, I was 21. Like, I
Things
was
were,
active. I
yeah,
walked like 10K a day. Like, I was bound to just slimmer. And I was that person. I never struggled with weight gain.
yep,
Like, I
yep.
could eat whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted, but I was always active enough.
Yeah, same. And that was with me too. And then I stopped being active because I was in a car accident and I quickly caught up. So then when I was like able to, I jumped right back in it even harder because I was like, nope, I'm not doing that again. And that was just not even, I don't even know what that was. I don't know if that was a vanity. I was probably more of a vanity thing back then. Now it's more just like I can physically feel when I'm not taking care of my body. So it's, you know, your mind shifts. So what would you say, Kristen, is the hardest part out of all of that? For, you're obviously in a place because you're joking about it and you're very open about things now. So you're obviously in a better place where you can like at least laugh at this, the patterns that your brain's producing when you're having a shit feeling about yourself. Which one would you say out of all of those was the hardest one for you, or still is the hardest one for you when it comes to your body?
Um, I'm accepting my boobs because eventually, once I get to my goal weight, I'm just gonna get that lift.
Perfect. Love.
Because I have that whole jealous envy of, smaller chested
Ah,
girls that can wear
yes.
whatever freaking bikini they want
Truth. Sorry.
and not, slowly spill out
See, and then I
like
look at,
ooze.
I buy some and then I put them on and there's like so much gap that if I was sitting there, you would literally just see my nipple chilling in the cup. So like I get there is flip sides to bathing suits, what I will say. But yeah, you could definitely don't have to worry too much about them going anywhere, that's for sure. But if it's too big, they definitely puddle in there and you can definitely been there.
Yeah.
Just for when
And
you get to this size, it happens.
right. But I guess honestly, my biggest one is my body shape. Because I am pear-shaped, I carry more weight on my bottom half. I always have. Like when I played hockey, man, I wish I had those quads still because
See?
like, oh, they were insane. It's like my goal. That's like my one goal and to get my ass back. But I'm that person that when I gain weight, like, some people will gain 5 pounds and they're like, oh man, my pants are tight. I'll gain 15 pounds and go, oh, my pants are tight because I'll gain it everywhere, like my
Yeah.
face, my wrists, my arms, my ankles, my feet, everywhere else.
Yeah, and it won't be as
Oh,
like
my body part.
noticeable. Like for me, if I gain 5 pounds, it's like I can see it on my gut right away. Like that's where it
Yeah,
is, and that's
and
where I see it.
I don't. So, that and obviously because I'm pear shaped, I've got more. We're gonna call them dimples,
Yes,
little
fair.
dimples everywhere.
Yep, fair. Hey, I
And then
have.
yeah, and then I'm big bone, so I can't wear all the boots that everyone else can because my calves and my ankles are just big.
Totally fair. Honestly, as I grow up, I was like, man, I'm just good for a good sneaker these days. Like I'm getting old, like my feet. I just give me a good pair of flat or a good sneaker and I'm happy. Fuck the rest of this stuff in these fancy. I love looking at them.
Right. If they go over my ankle, I'm like, nah, bro.
Yeah, no,
I
they're
don't
not
need
for
it.
me.
I don't need that negativity in my life.
I know. When you need to get out of Alberta then, because that's the only place that I wear knee-high boots. Now I don't wear them. I have all these winter boots that I don't wear anymore because I just don't need them. Once in a while with a cute dress, like right now, it's at that time where I could probably wear a dress and long socks. But yeah, it's funny how we try to dress to like what we consume as fashion, but we should be dressing to our bodies, and I think that's a big misconception in the world. And because we all are different, and we all are, whether we want to think so, beautiful in any shape that we are in. I know people that would look at your pear shape that is, let's say, straight bodied and being like, fuck, I wish I had some curves, and it's just so funny because we'll always want what we don't have.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, and I agree with you, like too, I'd be the same. I would say if I was going to be any shape when I gain weight, I would be the same way. I get it more in my hips and in my abdominal area, and it's noticeable. And my like thighs, I used to like be so skinny that I'd have this thigh gap and I hated it. I just wanted my thighs to touch. And then all of a sudden my thighs touched and I was like, fuck.
Yeah, now your pants fat
Yeah.
because
And
they
I'm
all
like,
get ripped.
damn it. Chafing is a thing when I was at like my highest, when I was on medication, and which wasn't a bad thing, but in your mind, like your whole life, people were like, oh my God, you're so skinny, you're so skinny. And so you're trying to get away from that. And then you got it and you're like, oh my God, now I'm not happy. Now I want to go back to that, but I know I'm not going to be happy there either. Fuck.
Yeah,
So moral of the story.
they actually, how kids are cruel and
Oh
well,
yeah.
they're just assholes.
Mhm.
Do you remember the term butterface?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, that was me in high school.
No. Oh,
Yeah.
I think I
So
felt
like,
that about myself.
yeah,
That's so
and
rude.
like to be perfectly honest, I was a tomboy, so I didn't care about doing my unibrow and
True.
making it all pretty like and
Fair.
whatever. My nose is crooked because I don't know, my little brother thought, oh, she's being a bitch. Let's punch her in the nose and run away.
That's the one thing I'm really excited for the next generation is that I feel like that was like a very prominent thing back in the day. And it, like, even though we've gone a little too far in the snowflake era, I do I am glad that, kids being like that hopefully aren't as much these days, because I feel like our generation went through that really harshly. And I just like it, that's just really, I didn't have siblings until I was like 12. So I didn't get that, but kids were definitely fucking mean. And it's harder when it's like, it's in your house. It's supposed to be your sibling. Like, fuck you.
Yeah, yeah. But, to have that person that, yeah, you like, they were like my babies. They're a year and a half younger than me. They were my babies, apparently. Like, I fed them.
Yeah.
It was like two for you, one for me, like try and change their diapers. And my mom's like, stop that. Don't do that. I'm like, okay, mommy.
It's hard
But yeah,
not to.
yeah, to have my brother who, yeah, I'm already envious because he's skinny to begin with and whatever, to, yeah, call me all those names and stuff. It was hard. Like,
For sure. And
I
and I'm sure at the end of the day, he had no idea the damage that was doing too, right?
No, to be perfectly honest, I don't think he cares.
That's fair.
I've actually cut him out of my life
Totally
because
fair. Okay,
it's
then
just been,
he's a dick. Just
yeah,
kidding. But I
yeah.
feel like
Oh,
at
he
that
still is.
age, just knowing that your brain is not like, looking back, like
Yep.
he probably is, but at that time, at least like, that he was just an ignorant kid, right?
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
whatever
yeah.
as an adult, but like, I love like thinking back then when something would bother me so much. And I think to now being like, just in that healing process, being like, wow, like that sucks that you hated your life so much that that's what you had to project on to me. And like, not taking away from you, like by any
Yeah.
means, but I don't know if you get to that point where you look back, you're like, wow, that's just showing to the shitty person you are today, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? It's funny because as an adult, he's never made comments about my weight
Good.
after, like, before childbirth, after childbirth, never, ever. Just as a kid, though. And like looking back, I'm like, I was in amazing shape. I was
Yeah,
like
no fuck.
150 pounds, if that, my whole body was muscle. I had this little tiny pooch, because I had a sweet tooth.
Well, and
Had, had, have?
yeah, exactly. Does that ever go away? Because mine didn't ever.
No, mine got bigger.
Yeah, it just got worse when I started smoking more weed. But like,
Right.
it shouldn't just be a thought though. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's what we talked about with our first guest, Lexi. It was just like, it's shitty that you don't think about these things about your body. You're just who you are. That's just how you were built. You were athletic, you were this, you were that. And then it took someone else's comment to make you feel like shit about your body. And
Yep.
that's what we're trying to change, right?
Yeah.
Not
And I
saying
think
that
that,
you wouldn't, but you never would
yeah,
have thought about it. And then, yeah, maybe when you started getting into that teenage time or, starting to get sexual, like then you would have found the people that are attracted to who you are naturally. And I think that's the biggest fuck around, is that we try to be ourselves naturally growing up as kids. We hear that's wrong or it's a weird, you try to vibe with that's cool and you steer away from what's authentically you. So then you match up with people that aren't for you, friends, relationships, whatever. And then it's like an adult life and you start coming back to who actually are. And then you start attracting those people back to your life. So I guess that's what the point of all of these things is, trying to break that pattern of just being like, yo, just be yourself, because at the beginning you'll find the people that are for you. It might take time, but it'll be longer lasting than just pretending to be what we think society or other people want us to be shaped like or do our eyebrows. Like you shouldn't have to fucking worry about your eyebrows.
right. Yeah, I was like grade 3, grade 4, grade 5. I don't even know what grade I was in. All I remember is when I moved to Valley View, my life went to shit
Oh, I'm so
because
sorry.
they were all judgmental people. And I'm like, just no.
And I wonder, so that then goes to our next question then. When would you have realized then that anything about your body was an issue when you moved to Valley View? Is that the time that you feel like
I would say, yeah, as horrible as it sounds, grade 3, grade 4, because suddenly you couldn't be friends with boys unless you were dating them. I'm sorry, grade 3, who the fuck gives a shit about boyfriends and girlfriends? Like,
yeah.
ugh.
I'm like, what? I was
Yeah,
trading sandwiches and like sticking my finger in iced tea mix to get sugar. I don't know.
right? Oh, eating Tang by the scoop and running
Yeah.
away because you hear your parents coming. Oh God, close the lazy Susan.
Yeah, exactly. Not like who's my, but I don't even know. I don't even think that was a thing then for me. I think dating, I think maybe in like grade 6 or grade 7. I mean, I grew up with the same kids, so it was just like we were the same all the time. So there's like the little friends that you kind of hung out with more, but that's definitely, yeah, that's insane. Yeah. And it's such a young age that I was the
Yeah,
same age. I was very young when I noticed that, I was like super wiry and sprung and like really, really skinny and just like, and then people
Yeah.
would say, "Oh, you're so small," or like, "Oh, you tiny arms," and you're just like, "What? Like, what do you
Yeah.
mean?"
My sister was called Little Mouse
Oh,
because she's just little and skinny, and that was. But my grandparents and stuff actually managed to turn it into like a positive thing.
yes, that's
So it
good.
was kind of nice. Like my brother and sister were never ashamed for like their size, and like I was never like it was just my brother. It's just him.
Isn't that what? That's good though. I mean, it's not great, but at least it's like at
Yeah.
least like your sister wasn't that way, or like
Yeah, no,
your
not
family.
at
So
all. It was just my brother. I grew up, I was Buddha baby growing up because I had rolls on my arms. I was cute.
yes, and that's what I
That's
mean. Like,
scary.
why is it like, why it just let's change that narrative for the future, like it's and let's like that's one thing I love that Lexi said in hers is like she's trying to learn to love herself at every single point because if that's just who you are. And it's
Yeah.
easier to love it and call it that and look back at all those things because you do look back. Think of pictures of yourself. You look back and you hated yourself in that moment. And you look back and you're like, oh my God, you're so cute.
Mine was my tooth. I still look back at
Fair.
my snaggle tooth and go, snaggle tooth.
I had not the greatest teeth either. They took really long time my eye teeth to come down. So they were up at the top and I looked like I was like Dracula for the longest
Oh my,
time.
so
And then they
that's my
had
kid.
braces. Yeah,
He's
I feel
all
you.
like upper and lowers.
Yeah,
They're all,
same.
yeah, he
They
got his mother's mouth.
Yeah, I still have my retainer and it was like I was the same thing. I was like 12 and they had to pull my last baby tooth and it was like coming down and it just wouldn't let go. And yeah, it didn't make I wouldn't want to smile. And then when I got my braces, like at the beginning, it's
Oh,
fucking painful and it's
well, and
ugly
you
and they're like,
feel like you've gotten like a bunch of like, Botox or something in your lip and your lip just
yeah.
sticks out and you're like, am I duck faced now?
Yeah, it's not a great time. Getting them off was great. I'm glad I went through it. It's like whatever, I had issues then anyways, so um but yeah, I'm grateful for them now, but my goodness, I feel you on that. And I do look back to I'm like, ooh, pre-braces, Brandy, that's an interesting time.
Yeah, yeah, because
Thank you,
I got my
parents.
braces in grade 5, so
Oh no.
that's kind of 5, 6 was kind of when the whole butterface thing started to come out, and now I'm like, I had braces, you bitches.
Yeah, like fuck off. Like and who
No wonder I wasn't pretty. I'm like,
and
I had weird
honestly,
ducklets.
who the fuck is really that cute between that preteen years? Like, tell me honestly, it's very rare. Let's like, you're cute, but like, we're not our best versions.
Oh,
We have so much things and hormones going through our body. So I guess that also leads
yeah.
to then my next question, then, girls. How have these comments made you feel about your body? Like, obviously, not great, but like, what
No,
then?
definitely not great. Like, and it probably didn't help too. Like, I grew up with a hot mom,
Ah, me too.
and the boys felt the need to make it known.
Oh, yes.
And then cue that stupid fucking Stacy's mom song.
Oh, yes.
And then it was Kristen's mom has got it. And it's like, fuck you guys.
Yes,
And then
yeah.
then in high school, it turned to, your mom's hot. Why aren't you?
Oh,
Bitch,
yes.
please. Me now, I would have I
Love.
probably would have just annihilated them. Like,
Yes, fair. Yes, fair.
because I'm like, back then, I'm like, they have hot moms too. So,
Right. But in
are
that
you trying
moment,
to just beat me to the punch here? Like, they also had older brothers and stuff like that. But yeah, no, yeah, oh yeah, and then I think grade 8 too. I also got kicked out of the cool. I'm gonna air quote right here.
yeah.
The cool group of
Yes.
girls. I don't fully know why still, but I got kicked out. I don't know what it was, but it was like a really life-changing thing because it was another one of those where it hit that I'm not good enough kind of things that
Yeah.
I had to work through. And I went from, having all these friends to no friends to, is it my looks? Is it something I did? Is it because of who I was dating?
Totally.
Who knows? They just meh,
It's
ghosted me. Oh,
and
ghosting.
I know, right? Like that people think that it started in this era with dating, but it's a time is old as time. Tale is old time. That's
Yeah,
what I'm trying to
they just physically ghosted people. They didn't text ghost.
say. Exactly. It was just a different way. It was that's like it hurt even more because you just like had nothing else to go off of.
Yeah,
Um
you're sitting in class and you're like, hey, and they just look away and you're like, okay,
okay.
I'll just do my homework.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
yeah, high school, junior high is such a wild time. And and I don't think we would have ever thought of this now because it's hard, or then, but it's hard to see. But I think maybe now, because I mean, I was just say like I was in a bit bigger of a place, and I was just kind of that person that like to know everyone. I knew the popular girls, and I knew the
Mhm.
stoners, and I knew the smokers, and I just kind of wanted to know everyone. And
Yeah.
I always kind of wonder when I look back now, just based on how the universe redirects me now. And I think even though I don't understand it, sometimes the universe just redirects you from something and you just don't see it, but it just puts you on a different path. So that's why I kind of always try to look back, like maybe the universe was just saving you from a different life with those types of people. And
Yeah, they were snobby. They were
yeah, I
they,
mean,
they were the epitome of the mean girls. Like there was one girl, she hated me. I don't know what I did, but man, she hated me. And looking back, I just laugh about it now because I'm like, I kind of antagonized her,
yeah, well, I
which is
mean, that's,
not the kind of person I was though. Like I was like this little quiet, like don't ruffle people's feathers.
yep, yep.
But she actually annoyed me enough that oh
People
yeah,
bring out different versions of you, right? And
yeah,
then, and at that time too, when you're already struggling with, like you said, your body image and like being a tomboy, and at that time too, I totally get it. It was like the time that we grew up, it was just like so much glitz and glamour at that time. Pop was a really all-time high. You had your Britney Spears and your Christina
Brittany and
Aguilera's
Christina, yeah,
that were very, very girly. And then you had the boy bands that were going after them. So in your mind, you're thinking, unless I look like these sparkly, beautiful,
yeah.
Spice Girls, these boys aren't going to go after me. And then you're just like, well,
Oh,
I want to be myself. And then, then you've got girls like me that are trying to be like that too, because, and we're not trying to be authentically ourselves. And I think,
yeah,
that it's just a testament to how far we've come now, where we can kind of look back and be like, okay, well, but then you've got these girls doing it. So then your body image is already in this moment. You're like, oh, okay, well, fuck, are they doing that to me too? Like, what? And then
yeah,
you don't know how to talk about that shit. You don't know how to bring that up without sounding like a needy fucking 12 or 13-year-old,
yeah.
whatever.
Don't be such a crybaby.
Yeah, and you're just like, okay, well, fuck it, whatever. I just don't know about you. I just rather not touch that with a 10-foot pole. So that kind of brings us to a really good next question. These questions have kind of like answered themselves as we're talking, so it's kind of working
Yeah.
nicely. So to the people that said mean things to you and help create these destructive patterns that you've carried forward, I mean, obviously you're in a better place now, but you've had to do work with that, just like we all have. What would you say to them now, or what do you wish you would have said to them then when this was going on, or had the strength to, for me, it was like, I just don't think I was emotionally smart enough to realize what was going on. I wish I would have said this.
Yeah. Like I don't know, looking back at it now, like they're not worth my time or energy. Like
Of course.
whatever, right? But like kids are cruel. And I wish I would have stood my ground and like maybe not called them out on their shit and like, like pointed out their imperfections or anything because like the vindictive grudge holder in me would have enjoyed that.
Yes, I
I
feel you.
blame it on being a Scorpio. I don't know, but
Fair.
I'm super super nice until I'm not. But I don't know. I guess looking back, like and like history and stuff like that is I don't know if they knew they were hurting me or like even if they would care, but like they all became heavy drug addicts
Mhm.
and like alcoholics and stuff like that. So looking back at it, I'm like, you know what? Like I can't even imagine what they were going through, like they
Exactly.
they had older siblings and so there's that peer pressure there too, right? Like they've got older brothers. Their older brothers were the same kind of thing. Like a lot of them actually got kicked out of school for drugs and shit like that. Our parents were different. They're partiers and swingers and so it's like I feel bad for them is what actually like as an adult now and looking back is I feel bad at them because I can't imagine what they were going through to feel the
Exactly.
need to, be mean to others.
And honestly, that is the answer to everyone's question. And that's when you're in a place that you've healed from it, is where you can look back and forgive them for what they did, because it's a projection of what they were going through and not a projection of who you are. No matter, that doesn't justify it, that doesn't make it okay, and it
Yes.
doesn't
And
solidify your pain or your experience by any means. However, if you're in a place where you're like, that wasn't me, that was you. I know me, I know my truth. I'm sorry, me, for not seeing that earlier. I forgive
yeah,
everything. And it made me the biggest takeaway for everyone, I find, for myself, is that if you're truly getting to a place where you're happy, obviously you have your days, everything good or bad truly led you to this moment now and who you are now. So if you
Well,
can make peace with that, it's such a like gratifying, it's just like that was my story and that made me who I am today. And I'm going to use it as fuel now instead of as a nail in my pain. You know what I mean?
yes. Well, and actually it's funny because it just popped into my head actually too, is the guys that would make those comments and stuff, it was like in the hallways when other people are around. When there was no one else around, these guys were awesome. Like they were amazing. They never,
Totally.
so it was
Totally.
almost, like they were showing off
Well, and just
kind of
think
thing.
think about when you think about celebrity drama and
Yeah,
all the YouTube shit that's going on nowadays and like chasing for clout, that happens on a small level. And it's always the people that are insecure that want it, that the people that yell the loudest are usually the most insecure, right? So they're
yeah,
obviously when that happens. And if I wasn't emotionally intelligent to understand that then, but you look back now and you're like, oh, you're doing that as a show. You're putting on a show to get attention for whatever internal battle you're having, and
yeah,
I'm sorry for you. I hope that you've healed from that. I've healed from that. I hope you have. Chances are most of them probably haven't. And then, like you said, you feel bad. That's sad. That's sad to me now. I feel bad that you had to project in that way and that I was your dumping ground. But guess what? Thanks. You made me stronger and you're probably a little bit more weaker, or maybe you've grown from it. I don't know. But, at
yeah.
least, thanks for making me a stronger bitch, I guess.
Yeah, basically, right? Like, yeah, I learned to not, take what other people said with a grain of salt
You learned that
because
everywhere in life
yeah,
because it
no,
doesn't change.
nope.
Those asshole kids, they just become older and more angry and more pissed off and now more access. Like I don't know about you, but I didn't have social media in high school. That wasn't a thing. I'm that old that social media wasn't a thing. We just got computers in junior
My
high.
face.
Yeah, there was MSN chat. That was as fucking far
Yes.
as it got
Oh
for
my
me.
God.
And I was like,
That's how I learned how to type fast.
yeah, exactly. And 20, like, yeah, I know how to use a computer for sure. I had that benefit. We did use computers, but like social media platforms didn't exist. Just as I graduated high school, actually college, MySpace came out and I was like making fun of people about Facebook. I was like, oh my God, a book of faces. That's so dumb. Like MySpace is where it's at. And then MySpace just fucking crumbled within like a week. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh, I best get on this. And I was like literally in the clubs, like at the bar, 20 years old. So we didn't have smartphones. So it was like you only went on Facebook or social media when you were at home on your laptop.
Oh
Fuck,
my
that
God.
just aged me.
The razor. Flip.
Yes, yes, razors and the very
T9.
first Blackberries.
Oh my God.
The,
See, and I never did the BlackBerry.
oh, the
I
ball thing. I missed that. I wish that would come back. But yeah, that really aged us there. So that's
sorry, it's
fantastic.
mine just getting better.
I'm just glad that I was going through my bar years when social media came on because I was already struggling as a teen as it was. So I really feel for the teens today that have to deal with all this shit and social media and filters and all that because my tiny brain couldn't even understand like real life stuff that was happening that I am like, haha, now, let alone having that on my hand as
Yeah,
it stands.
no kidding.
Right. So, what would you say then would be a misjudgment about you and your body? Like, for example, a lot of people would always like look at me at my skinniest and think I was the healthiest, and that's total bullshit. Is there any misconceptions about you
Um,
that people have made?
yeah, so like with my body shape, like I said, I can gain 15 pounds that will be noticeable, you know, as if someone gained 5 pounds. Is everyone like whenever I say, oh, I need, I'm working on losing weight and whatever, everyone's like, why? Where do you have weight to lose? And I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm big boned. I am not that big boned.
Yeah,
I'm
fair.
like, I'm not in as good of shape as you think I am. I'm like, I don't know if I just dress really well for my body shape, but
Yeah.
everyone's always like, there's no way that you need to lose weight. And I'm like, but there is. I'm still 30 pounds more than have ever been in my life. So yeah, there's still, I can't, I flex my arm and I'm like, bloop, bloop, bloop,
That's with age. Don't worry, girl. It's
bloop,
all of us.
bloop, bloop,
You really,
bloop.
it just starts what's that movie with Cameron Diaz? And they're like, what the fuck is this? And they're like wiggling their arms. And like, yeah, that's
Oh,
really a thing. If you don't,
sorry. That's
you know which one I'm
so
talking about?
yeah, I can't think of what it's
I
called, but
know. They sing Pina
oh,
Colada song. Yeah, you know which one.
yes, with
Yeah.
Christina Applegate in it, and
Yes.
yes,
Yes.
yes. So I when I was still skinny, I had made a comment because I'd like, when you wiggle your arm, whatever, and
Yeah.
I made really thought it would be really funny if one day someone got someone, like a little girl or something, on a swing on their bicep.
Yep.
So when they wiggled their arm, the person would swing.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. That would be really funny.
I still might get it.
It's still a dream of mine one day.
Yeah.
And there's back to your
Yeah.
misconception I wanted to say, and that's such a like a fine balance where it's like, when you're speaking of like, hey, I'm not feeling the greatest, I want to lose 15 pounds, and in your mind, you're over on the aesthetics, you're it does bother you, but you're accepting that that's your body, and you're now focused more on being strong. And I know you're all about like, how far can I run, and like, where can I beat my goals, and like,
Yeah.
so it's a fine space to be like, hey, I want to lose 15 pounds because I feel better. And it's it's good to have people in your life to be like, hey, you look great, you don't need to lose weight. But it's also like kind of frustrating because you're like, I'm not doing this in a destructive where I think I'm like fat and I need to lose 15 pounds. I'm saying like, this is a numeric goal that I want to get, that I know I'm going to feel better in. Like sometimes it frustrates me. And I'm sure when you were smaller, you probably attest to this too. Or even now, you're like, sometimes just losing that weight doesn't have to necessarily, yes, the aesthetics come good, but sometimes it's just that feeling.
Yeah.
It's just a feeling.
I'd like to be able to wear short shorts and not be self-conscious about the fat that hangs around my knees.
Yes. And it's not that
Like,
you shouldn't, but you're okay to be like, hey, I know if I do X, Y, and Z, that's going to be the result. And that makes me feel better. There's nothing wrong with that, I don't think.
yeah, no, and it is like, I think you were talking about, I can't remember if it was on the podcast or if it was in one of your posts about like your butt and how, that's something that you're continually working on and whatever. And like I see posts and I'm like, I want her ass. Like, and it's funny because, someone will see you and be like, oh my God,
Goals.
and then there's you like, it's getting there. Like, I don't hate it, but I know I can improve it. And I think that's what my thing is. I know what I'm capable
Yeah.
of. Like I dislocated my hip in grade 6 figure skating. That's when I stopped figure skating.
Fair.
My hip actually still pops out because I grew up in a small town. Like you didn't go to physio
Yeah.
for a dislocated hip. You went to physio because you got into a car accident and you actually needed the rehabilitation.
Yeah. You just dealt with it.
So, yeah. So there's that too. Like everyone's like, oh, why can't you do this? Why can't you do that? And it's like, well, you know what? I can't even, do certain lunges and stuff without my hip wanting to pop out on me. Like to do fire hydrants, I could not do that until last year
Yeah, no
because
doubt.
my hip you could actually like almost feel it like come out
Ugh.
and hurt. And then I'd be laying on the floor going, "Ugh."
Yeah, no, and it's totally true. And that's, I think, the thing that's like the biggest part of this podcast is that we just want to show, because it's really easy to fall in love with the sexy pictures online and look at people and think, oh, she's my goal, so she has no struggles. Well, on contrary, my friend, I have always had an ass. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm just genetically, I didn't get boobs. I got genetically blessed with more on my booty. Just as a younger girl, it was always a thing. Even as a kid, I would like swim and my butt would like float above the water, and my family used to bug me and be like, call me a bumblebee butt, because I used to have like this yellow bikini and it looked like a little bumblebee in the water. So it's something I very much pride in. However, I've seen myself at 110 pounds and I've seen myself at 155 pounds and everywhere in between. So I know where I'm eating and dialed into things that I know is healthy. This isn't an aesthetic fitness thing. This is legitimately what's best for me and my body. I know when I'm eating like shit, and I know when I'm not doing the things that I know to get there. And it's not because I think I'm disgusting. It's just things that have trailed off, and there's trade-ins. So sometimes
Yeah,
it's like I'm busy in my career, that's going to happen. But when I'm then focused on it, then it's like, oh, okay, like I am slacking and I'm calling myself out on it. You're allowed to call yourself out on stuff without being destructive. And I think
yes.
that's what my point was. My long-winded point was, it's like, thank you for telling me I'm beautiful for who I am and I don't need to lose these 15 pounds, but know that this isn't a negative thing. And this is something that's like a fuel and a fire. And I want to get it because I know I'm going to feel even more fire when I get there. It's not that I don't feel fire now. And this is a goal and I want to work towards it. And I think if you're not working towards some sort of goals, like life, you'll look back and go, what the fuck? I just wasted 5 years of my life.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I see, and I did that with drugs.
Exactly. And
So,
I did the same fucking thing. Or I did something where I was like not being myself in,
yeah.
my past marriage for all that time. Like, I was a good person. It was a good marriage. Things were great. But now I'm me and I'm like, fuck, I just wasted all this time pretending to be who I thought I wanted to be.
Yeah.
And now I am who I want to be. And I feel bad for pretending to be someone I wasn't for so long.
Yeah, and that was actually, yeah, for me, I was with my kid's dad actually was so controlling that I literally became this little sheep with him.
Mm-hmm.
So when he cheated on me and we separated, which is funny because he had the audacity to tell my grandpa that I cheated on him.
Well, of course, you don't want to look
Oh,
like the bad person, right?
right? Like, why would you even say anything
Yeah.
at all or whatever? But
People
like,
are
I
strange.
was like, I pushed myself so far away from what he had forced me to become
Mm-hmm.
that I went way the wrong way.
100%. And I think a lot of people feel that. And that's like, these are all things that we want people to talk about so they're better equipped, because I didn't know how to handle that. Right.
Oh,
I was just going through the emotions, and, and it's
whatever's easier, right?
absolutely,
It's that coping.
it
You just
is.
do whatever's easier and whatever kind of gets you through that day.
And then I feel like it
And yeah,
piles on everything else and all your other
yep,
problems after that.
yep. And like I think it was like last year, me and like my fiance had actually 2018, I don't even know. It was a time ago.
Yeah, time.
We had actually split up for a little bit, to get clean, get our lives together,
Of
and
course.
it was one of those times I was like, you know what, fuck you.
Mm-hmm.
I need to focus on me. I need to focus on my son.
Yep.
And, it took, and it was about a year because we've been back together for over, I don't even know how long. It's COVID has
COVID
like
times.
screwed my timeline of everything now, but like,
Totally.
and it's like my whole mindset changed
Yeah.
and it changed and we got back together and like he worships, like basically worships the ground I stand on in a sense. Like he loves me. Like I'll go to change, I'll take my shirt off and I'm like, just ate food and I'm like, man, I'm bloated. And he's just like, you're so sexy. And I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? No. But like over the year and stuff, I'm like, I've started accepting it. And he's like, I'm gonna, and he's self-conscious about his stuff. And I'll do the same thing to him. And he's like, why? And I'm like, just let me love you and let me check you out. And he's like, and I'm like, you make me let you check me out. So you got it. And he's like, fine.
Yeah, totally. I totally get that. So then
So we came, yeah.
sorry. So obviously now then you have yourself in a way better position. You're saying with your man now, I think all of us need to go through that in our relationship. You need to go through that really rough patch and like the hardest thing you've ever been through to like really come back and know that it's solid. So then would you feel like when you have your moments now, do you feel supported in life to talk about when you're having issues with your body image?
I do. Yeah. Like my boyfriend's really good at boyfriend, fiance.
I know.
See,
It's okay. It
still.
happens.
um, like he's awesome at listening, and it's funny because like my he's my cheerleader. Like he really is. Like he's always in my corner and pushing me to do better and be better and but for me, not for him,
Yes,
for me
totally.
to for me to do what I need to do to be happy and like with this laser course and stuff like that. Like I've got hella debt that I need to take care of right now,
For sure.
which sucks.
Of course.
So like having him and like I've gotten rid of a lot of friends. Like it's funny, like looking back, like even 2, 3 years ago to the people I hung out with. And now, like, I got rid of all the friends that, did drugs.
Yep. You have
It
to.
was like, nope, not dealing with any of that. I stopped drinking completely. Like I was, I was the horrible girl that could get wasted and wake up the next morning and go, okay, guys, let's do stuff. And everyone's like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
You're an exception
But
to a lot of rules, I'm learning.
yeah, but my spouse has issues with drinking, so I quit drinking.
That's
It's
amazing.
been literally, I think March 12th was when every like dental and everything got shut down.
Yep.
And I remember me and the girls, we had a Zoom meeting with our employer at that point in time, and we all had a drink. I had like one of those neutral whatever.
Yep.
I don't like alcohol. I never have.
Fair. Me neither.
I'm the fun, but it's like so I quit drinking. I quit doing drugs. I got rid of the horrible, not horrible, the bad influences,
Yep.
I will say,
Your
in my
triggers.
life. And I slowly started incorporating, the positive people, the the clean, the sober fitness people, like, people that genuinely had a good outlook on life.
Yes.
And I'm a really positive person. Like when I was working at the dental clinic that I worked at before, like people were sometimes like, you are sickeningly happy.
I get that.
But they're also always like, when shit was going wrong, they always went to me, and they're like, how do you stay so positive when they're like, I want to walk away, and I'm like, I don't know, just me. I'm sorry. I'm like,
Yes.
just take some of my positivity.
Exactly. So then now you feel, obviously you can just like tell, even with just telling your story, like you can even just hear the happiness like rise when you talk about where you are now, and you did all the things and all the tools to set yourself up more successfully in your environment. And you did all the things that I'm sure when you were in it, you were like, whatever, that's so cliche. Like, oh, get rid of the
Yep.
bad people. And that's what I did. I was like, oh yeah, okay,
Well,
whatever. And then you actually start doing it, and then you start taking care of your fitness, and you start seeing like people changing, and you're like, I want to be a part of that. What do I have to do? So you start surrounding yourself with those people, and then you
yeah,
pick up those habits.
yeah, exactly. And I obviously I still do little pep talks with myself, and
Yes,
you know, like, like, around my period time, you get bloaty and whatever,
totally.
and it sucks because like I'm doing a weight loss program right now, like with a personal trainer,
That's
and I
amazing.
have to weigh myself every day. That's just their thing.
Yep.
And part of it kills me. I hate it
Yep. But
because you fight with that mentality of don't rely on the scale.
totally.
The scale is just a number. The scale is basically just a baseline to kind of,
It's
to
just like a
chart, like,
measuring tape,
yeah, exactly. And
and
it's funny because I
it's
haven't
not your worth.
actually physically measured myself since I started the program. I'm waiting till the end.
Yes, see, and that's such an important piece. We Anchor only lets us record for an hour, so we've just got a couple minutes
Ooh,
left here. Sorry not to
there you go.
cut you off, girl, but
Nope,
I
that's
really
fine.
want to touch on that, and then I want to ask you one more last piece of question. But the one thing that is super important that I'm really proud of you for pushing through, and if you can keep on that mentality, is that I know it's hard, but one day in your life you're going to have to, whether if you push the scale away, you're going to have to step on it at some point in your life medically.
Yep.
And I know that if you just push through that fucking uncomfortable and you call that scale what it is a piece of measurement. It does have nothing to do with your worth. It's to help you diagnose what you need to do in your next fitness goal. That is all that it is, or whatever, or to give you an idea of how you feel at what your scale says. That's going to be an amazing breakthrough. And you'll never be terrified of standing on that, because that has nothing to do with your fucking worth. And that is such an
Yep.
amazing journey to go on. And I want to encourage you to keep falling on that one, because that's huge for me too. I was the same way. I know I'm like smaller, but that 5 pounds, you can tell if I'm 120 or 130, like that 10 pounds is noticeable. And so I totally understand that. But I was like, okay, this is just telling me like, oh, I'm getting my period. Of course I'm up a few pounds. Oh, I'm
Yep.
ovulating. Of course I'm a little bit water weighted, right? So okay, so let's get to our last question while we wrap it up. Oh, I see. And you know what's so funny? There's so many people that are like worried that they're not going to have enough content, but then once you get going, you're like, oh yeah, shit, I do have a lot to share.
Right.
So that's perfect. I've loved so much of your story and all your honesty. We line up on so many things, and I think this is my favorite question to ask. Before we finish up here, is if you could go back and tell your teenage self a piece of advice strictly about your body, nothing else, just about your body, what would you say?
Just love your body. Like it's amazing what it can do. Like, I don't know. I've had asthma all my life, and the fact that, I played hockey, I figure skated, I played fastball, I danced. Your body is capable of so much if you just show it some love.
Yes. Yes. Oh, I got
And I wish I had.
right. And I feel like that's almost what everybody aligns up to. And it was like, you know, um, being grateful and aware of how our bodies are machines. They're not just like temples that you just like have people look at, or they're
Yeah.
they're amazing. And the way they progress is by taking care of them, just like a car, and
Yep.
the proper fuel and all of that. And you can paint the outside and put, oh my god, I've been listening to like early 2000s. I made this whole, like, there's like 200 songs. I'm going to share it with everyone. It's like a 2000 Spotify list. Oh my goodness. But, and
Oh,
there's like spinning rims. Like, you can have the spinning rims and you can have the like shiny metallic paint and the racing stripe, whatever the fuck was cool back in the 2000s. But, if you're not putting
right.
any oil or gas inside that engine, how are you going to get places? It's the same thing with your body. And I wish that that was something more taught in school, is if you take care of how you're eating, you're getting proper sleep, you're physically moving. A lot of our mental illnesses we know as adults are not as triggering when we're taking care of ourselves.
Yeah. I guess another thing too would be, you know, obviously no one, well, maybe not no one, but everyone is going to hate something about themselves.
Yes.
So, if you can't make yourself love those different things, those imperfections, if you will, I'm air quoting.
Yes.
Can't see it, but
Yeah.
um, focus on the things that you do love about yourself. Like the one thing that always helped me is I love my eyes and I love my lips. I don't like my crooked nose.
Me too. See, nose is mine too.
I didn't like my chubby cheeks. Like my mom, everyone would be like, "Oh, you're so cute, your chubby cheeks," and I'm like, "Fuck off."
Yeah.
I told my mom at one point in time that the first thing I was gonna do when I turned 18 was get lipo in my fucking cheeks, and my mom's like, "Why did you do that?" And I'm like, "I don't want these fucking chubby cheeks."
I'm the same, but we all have this like double chin that's not a double chin, but it's there. Like, it's just there. It's just like this like pocket. It's just in our family, and no matter how much I suck in or how skinny I've been, it's still there. And I feel the same. Like, I'm just gonna hit that pert, and then I'm like, "You were a fucking psycho. Shut up."
Right? Yeah, it's like really like yeah, and like I know I'll even do like pictures sometimes, and I'm like, okay, just
Yep.
angle that. Just
Yeah.
we're gonna yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
Oh
no,
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 my
stretched
chicken
out.
neck is hanging out. I can't.
Yeah.
And it's so true. It's just like knowing that, your body is amazing. It can do so many great things. Other people's opinions about it are that strictly their opinions. And um yeah, be grateful. And some things are just facts.
Yep. I also forgot that I had an appendix that tried to kill me too.
Your body's been mean to you a little bit.
I had appendicitis apparently while I was pregnant,
Oh my
and
goodness.
the doctor told me that I pulled a muscle.
Oh my goodness. And then, of course, that makes things harder for you being an athletic person, to doing all those things, to having that, to have to like adjust.
Um, well, and then I had my kid, and at 6 months old is when it actually flared up again,
Mm.
and I got rushed to the hospital, and the doctor was actually like, I don't even know if this is your appendix. It was so inflamed. When they did the surgery, he like after he was like, I'm honestly surprised it didn't burst. He's like, I don't know how you're still alive. I'm like, cool.
Oh, good. Then in
So then,
moments of gratitude,
yeah.
then being like, oh,
So,
thanks for not killing me, I
six
guess.
months old kid, and don't lift your baby up.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're funny.
Yeah, that's so possible. I love that. Yeah, I'll just have a magical, gnome come in the
Oh,
house and take
and
care of it.
this is with a 6-inch gash in my stomach. Gash, yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Gash is
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. I picked it up. That
Yeah,
was like
and
your
like
first mess up.
because of how it was done, they didn't stitch it. It had to heal from the inside out. So I have the 6-inch gash based, in the appendix. Well, it's above my appendix. They went through my stomach muscle because I had a tattoo where they were supposed to go through.
Oh, of course.
Damn it. And I wish I would have mentioned this earlier, but yeah, so like for me to do like core exercises
Yep. Very
was
hard.
insane. Like I remember the first time I got the flu, I literally was pushing where I had gotten my appendix out, straightening my leg because all the scar tissue. It like literally you could, the scene in Aliens where the monster starts coming out of
Yeah.
people's chest?
Yes.
That was what my stomach would do.
Oh my gosh.
It was, I wish I could have gotten a video of it like that or like during pregnancy and the baby. Yeah, it was fucked up.
Wow.
So like even dealing with that too
Yeah.
is like,
And now you look back and think like, in those moments then when you're, feeling low, then it's like, as much as that was traumatic and you went through, but it's like, man, you survived all of that. Like, I wish we could measure more what our bodies can do, what they've survived, what they've been capable of, as opposed to what they look like in a bikini. Like, I
oh,
really hope that that's where the narrative is going to go
yeah.
going forward in the world.
And I remember too, like I came home after a week of not being with my son, who was still basically fully breastfed at that point in time,
Mhm.
to him being like his cry, you could tell all he did for like the whole time I was gone was cry because he was no longer breastfed. He was no longer co-sleeping.
Yep.
He was at my auntie's house, and like I thank them every day. Like I'm so thankful that they took my son
Oh, of course.
because, but I went from being like got sent home with drugs and stuff like that. I threw my drugs away because my kid wouldn't feed. So I was like, well, cool. I thought I was dried up and, gonna not be breastfeeding anymore to being like back to him on the boob.
Yeah, right away. Mom,
And I did. I threw my drugs away. I
good
went
for you.
pain free, like medication free
Good for you.
for right after I had this surgery, like a week after I had this surgery.
Well, yeah, because you just, you probably just felt like you'd be better not with them and you
But
wanted to
you
be with
can't
them.
breastfeed when you're on painkillers,
Of
right?
course, yeah. And yeah, no, absolutely. And that's what I love about moms is that they just do so much and they sacrifice so much for their children. I mean, we know I sacrifice so much for my cats, but that's very different from
Right.
what moms sacrifice for their kids.
But it's different too. And like for me, like I was actually never supposed to be able to have kids.
That's amazing. That's so exciting for you.
So like, and it's funny because like I say we ran out of time because like
No,
I
it's
had
okay. You got a little bit more.
a laparoscopy when I was 18.
Yep.
They got inflammatory fluid. I can't even remember what all they said, but it was a lot fucked up down there.
Yep. That's fair. I've been there too.
Right.
I've
And
been
so it was like it was one of those things where I was already prepared. Like, I don't know. They never did diagnose me either, but I'm pretty sure that I've got endometrial. Like I have cramps. Like I almost didn't graduate high school. I went into grade 12 with 53 credits because my cramps were so bad that I would miss 5 days of school every month to 2 months or, like, and my period was so sporadic that I could get it every 2 weeks and then I could not get it for like 2 months.
Were you on birth control?
I went on birth control when I was 16 to
Yeah.
regulate it. My doctor actually even gave me these pills that I could still feel the pain, but holy shit, was I high as fuck.
Yeah, it's the same. I was the exact same thing. So that's going to be another topic we're going to all dive into is hormonal birth control because a lot of us have dealt with a lot of stuff after the effects of that, all around
Um,
the same age, all doing the same things. And it's very
well, actually,
interesting.
interesting too, because after that too, I had like the high grade cancer cell, whatever. So I had to get like my cervix um, lasered
Yep.
to get the precancerous cells off. I had been put on two different birth controls because the IUD wasn't really working, but it was at the same sense. So I was on birth control plus an IUD,
Yep.
which potentially has actually made me sterile.
Yes. See, and that's, yeah, see, this is what I mean. This is a huge topic because we all definitely have gone through stuff similar and it seems to be very prevalent in our around generation. So I'm really excited to open that up because I think that all relates to all of this. It's all hormonal imbalance, by
I
mental
would
stuff.
definitely talk about that too,
Yeah, no, I
because
love that.
I've
So
been through a lot of shit with it.
yeah. So relating to body image, before we leave for
Yeah.
today, is there anything that you want to, sorry, no, we do this. It's okay. This is a tangent. This is why we put tags. So when we do these interviews, we're putting tags for everybody's interview so everyone knows where people start and end. So, if you're just coming to see your friend, you can tune in at 110 and that's when that person's interview. Like we want everyone to
Yeah.
have a platform to share their story. And it's just so exciting, not exciting, that's not necessarily the right word because it's also sad that all of us go through all this, but it's really wonderful to know that so many people want to share their story on so many other things because it just proves to us even more of how connected we're all going to be after this. So,
Well, you're not alone, right?
yes. And you can reach out and talk to anybody in the communities about this right now. Like now that you've said that, there's someone in your community maybe that didn't know that, that's going to be like, oh wow, I'm struggling too, hey Kristen, let's talk about this. And then now you've just made a friend that you can go to in those moments that you're feeling that you're not at your height, or you're just having a day. Like me and Kayla always like, oh, I'm having a day, can you just remind me I'm a bad bitch? Yeah, you're a bad bitch, okay, thanks, bye. you know
Yeah,
um,
exactly.
so, relating to body image, is there anything that we didn't cover today that you would want to share about your story, where you are now, how you've overcome it? Is there any piece of advice you could give to anybody that's maybe going through similar struggles? Anything that we could say in our last few minutes here to really highlight your story and make sure we got your point across?
I guess for me, because like I was obviously the quiet child, I've family orientated, whatever, physically fit, not fit, drug addict, not drug addict, mom. Well, basically been a mom forever
Yeah.
now. Um,
Pre-mom.
but you know, get comfortable with yourself. Like learn to be comfortable with who you are. Like when I started, kind of letting go of where, where society has taught me I should look like, I should be like, how I should, you
Totally.
be quiet, be seen, not heard, right? Like that's what we grew up with.
Yeah.
Women are seen, not heard.
Yeah.
And it's like now, like people are like, oh my God, you're so funny, you're this. They didn't know that before. Like now that I've come out of my shell and I'm gonna bring this old saying back, my freak flag
Oh
fly.
yeah, we like that saying around here.
I am so much more at peace with myself. I am a better mom. I am a better friend. Like, I accept my awkwardness. I accept everyone's awkwardness. And sometimes the weirder you are, the more like attracted I am to you
Yes.
because it shows that you are comfortable with yourself. And it's a hard thing to be comfortable with yourself. But when you learn to be able to be comfortable with yourself, even if you're not happy with where you're at,
Yes. 100%.
so freeing. And it's like a weight lifted off your chest.
100%. And you realize they don't attach. You can be happy you're
Yeah.
not where you want to be on a certain goal.
Yes. And be happy for yourself. Don't be happy for the guy in your life or that friend in your life or, your idiot brother.
Yes.
Fuck him.
Totally. Because you know what? You're going to have critics no matter what.
Yes. And at the end of the day, you need to be happy with yourself.
Yes.
It doesn't matter
Yes.
if anyone else is happy with you because it's you that goes to bed with your thoughts.
Yeah. So think about if you're not being a critic for yourself, but that's like, you got to not listen to the dickhead critic in you. But, if you know you're doing a good thing, if you know you're being a good person, if you know that you're happy and you're in a place that you want to be in, then fall asleep knowing that that's great, that's the goal of the world, and you'll attract people that want to see you happy, and those that won't, they'll fall away, and that'll be hard, but that's okay, they're not your people. And I think that's a
Yeah,
huge lesson for
exactly.
everyone, is knowing not everyone's for you. A lot of people in our lives, actually, I have a friend a long time ago, we're not necessarily friends anymore, but we're really close, and she shared a poem, and it was like, you have friends for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And that's kind of like with everything in your life. And if you can mentalize that to being like, hey, this person taught me this really important lesson, I'm grateful for that, but I just don't want them in my life anymore, or vice versa, that's cool, I honor that time, I love it, I'm going to take that memory and that lesson and move it forward. And there's some people that have been in your life forever and that'll never change, or some people are just like, your ex, and they taught you a lot. And that's the beauty of, if you're happy and you're okay now, then the rest is okay.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that. I'm so happy that you've been able to step in. And that's what I mean. Like, and on the flip side, where it's like, I'm really sorry that you got called butterface. Like, that is total fucking shit. I hated people doing that. But not to be like this, and please don't hate me for saying this, but on the flip side, just know that people that were deemed as like pretty girls, we didn't get it nice either. It was, you got where you were because of how you looked. You don't have anything
Yep.
but your looks. You're not going to be anything but your looks. Da 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 da. And I had to fight to be like, no, I'm funny, I'm smart, I'm generous, I'm cool, I'm artistic, I'm all other things. And that led to the whole like, oh, you'll never get a ticket because you're pretty. And I'm sitting here hating looking at myself in the mirror, and these people are telling me that I'm pretty. Meanwhile, I don't, so that's the point of this,
Yeah.
is being like, we all fucking struggled. Everyone was bullshit. We're stronger now. Let's set up the next generation to have them understand that kids are going through shit, and it's just projection around everything. And just
Yeah.
be happy with you and focus on you and deflect the rest.
Yep, exactly.
Right. So it's like, I'm looking at you, like my heart's broken to hear those kind of things. But then I look at you now and I'm like, as much as that sucked, do you think you'd be the fucking cool person you are now if you didn't have gone through all those things?
Oh, fuck no.
Probably, but not as powerful, now you get to take that cool
I,
person, that story, and fuel that to help other people. And I think, to me, that's like the greatest part of the struggle, is being able to use that to help someone else.
yes, exactly.
As bad as that sounds. Or maybe that's just my like way of like oh fuck, we're almost done and I can't even speak. Maybe that's just me just like putting it in little boxes in my brain to make it easier, just being like, you keep telling yourself that. Yeah, that word. See, English.
Oh yeah, see, I compartmentalize really weird.
Yeah.
I've been told that I don't deal with my shit.
Fair. Who does?
Or I just laugh at it and I'm like,
right? But you are. You are.
Answer a salad, and I'm laughing about it, telling friends, and they're like, should you be laughing about that? I'm like, I don't know, my body's trying to give me cancer. I'm like, trying. I'm like, it's not succeeding. It doesn't know what it's doing.
Yeah, see, it's just like, try me. Like, I love that saying. Instead of saying why me, say try me,
Yep.
because we do not have any control. And that'll be a big talk
Nope.
in our next episode of anxiety is you don't have a lot of control in life. So how do we set up our mindset to know that we don't have control? How do we handle and hold on? So I guess we'll wrap it up for today. Even though I know we could continue talking so much, and that just shows that you're going to be a repeat guest on our show, and that just makes me super excited. And I just want to thank you again so much for being so vulnerable and open with us. I love your growth. I love the perception that your views and your experience, because that's going to help someone else that can look at me and can't relate to Kayla, to Lexi, to Jeremy. It's just another added point of view of how people struggle with their body image. And I really appreciate you taking the time for me this morning, even though, we're all worried about it, but it probably wasn't as bad as you thought it was going to be.
No, I spoke full sentences. I'm quite proud of myself.
See, exactly. It's like, oh my God, I have to adult. Okay. And I can adult. I might screw up a little bit, but I can still adult. So I just really want to thank you again for coming on the show today. And I can't wait to have you back. And I just going to wrap up the show with you on here. So guys, thank you so much for tuning into our 4th episode of this show. We are so excited for our next episode. We're going to flip it back to me and Kayla, and we're going to talk about our experiences with anxiety. And then we're also going to have 3 more guests talk about that as well. So as always, you guys, Kristen, thank you so much for ending this show with me today. I look forward to having you again. And to everyone else, thank you guys again for being with us on this journey. And I can't wait to bring you more very, very soon.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. All right, guys, until next episode. Thank you guys so much for stopping by today. We appreciate you so, so much. If you like this episode and you want to hear more or be updated with episode drops, please make sure to send us some love on our Instagram page, the Be Real Babe Podcast. Give us a follow and stay tuned for more realness coming to you next week. Until next time, babes.